I was in a very comfortable position in Brazil, and I was doing what I liked doing. It was fun. But at some point it was more like like a calling. I need to do it. I need to tell stories. I need to do something that felt more relevant rather than just creating ads. But I felt like some people told me about film school in US and the graduate programs, and I felt like, okay, that could be an interesting bridge, or at least I just kind of have this experience, and but I need that to just take the leap.
You won the
Mm,
screenwriting award, basically the
mhm.
best screenplay. It's called the
Yeah.
Waldo Salt Screenwriting Award for your first feature film as a writer. It's a prestigious award.
Yeah.
What did that mean to you?
It was amazing. It was just it's funny because I never imagined, coming from another country, in English is not like my first language. I never thought I would be able to just write, and people just it's hard to believe that you can write in a whole script in another language. So for me, it was amazing, but also because it went, it was just spoke to me in a way that, okay, so I'm a writer. I never considered myself a writer, and was I feel like I'm more like a writer than a director somehow. I direct because it's a continuation of my writing. I know that if other people direct it, it's gonna be, they won't be able to continue the writing. My stuff, I think, are weird enough, so only I can understand how to continue.
Tell us
Yeah,
about your uncle. Who
yeah.
was he?
I remember he died. He was 50. I was like 12 at the time, and I remember all my family just crying, and I couldn't cry. I felt like so frustrated because they told me that he died, and I couldn't cry. And then later I found out he committed suicide. And with all those conversations that were like going on, and people were talking about him and stuff, it was so much about like, this guy is a failure. This guy is a loser somehow, and he wasn't strong enough, to survive the war. And then I start listen and hearing some more stories. He loved cinema more than anything in the world. After like I moved from Brazil to here, I start struggling, like in a similar way I think he struggled, and experienced things that was they're very difficult to me, very, very difficult. And I knew things that he went through, and I felt like, oh, I'm somehow becoming him, and it was kind of scary. It was very, very scary. And then about 9 days, their will is kind of based on my uncle, and the combination of my uncle and me as well at those times. Yeah. I start building, the word more or less like the way we know our word. Like, for example, we don't know what came before us or something like that. We don't know, okay, the Big Bang, but what happened before? What's the purpose of it? So I was okay even when people ask me like, oh, but why things are this way? And it was like, do you know the answer when you think about our word? We don't.
Right.
Okay, so it's fine. So yeah, and then that's what creates the gaps and places we don't know, and then creates like religions, creates like theories, and people just like start creating stories. And I felt like, yeah, I think it's fine to have those kind of gaps in my world. Some people are going to be frustrated, and some people are, but I like not explaining everything. We need the violin song before we start shooting principal photography, because I need to just shoot the POV shots earlier, and you shot all those in pre-production. So it was interesting because Antonio Pinto, he composed kind of the most important piece before we start shooting. And then at the time was just, oh yeah, we just need a piece. And so when you play, it doesn't look like the person is just like cheating or doing anything, or and then later we just replace with something else. But the song was so good, and it was fitting the scenes and so well. Then from that piece we just start composing everything else based on that violin piece. because Ethan Hawke was more like, he was more outgoing. He was more like, but he plays this timid, shy guy. But he knew that at the end he would be the guy who would just like, be the guy who would just stand on the desk and say, "Oh, Captain, my Captain," and lead everyone else to do a Captain, my Captain. So he cast Ethan Hawke because of that. He had that kind of energy. And it was interesting because I kind of felt the same way in what was casting Winston. He was the guy of the end of the movie. He was the guy who, would do the monologue, who was like bigger than life, who was like, full of energy and life. And then my job as a director would be, okay, I have the guy who delivers the monologue. I have that will that, is not, is okay with like leaving and going there. But my job as director, I need to hide that. I need to just like, keep it inside him, and just like revealing that, like just some parts, maybe when he's doing things here and there, and just like talking to Emma here and there. And then until the end, when he just like becomes who he is.